G'day guys, it's Mick here from Dusty Trail Adventures. Had the fortunate opportunity of sitting down with Steve from Mongrel Dog Productions and just about a trip I've got planned coming up in the future, heading out over towards Queensland through the centre. Steve gave me some good advice and things I can do and should do and just how to approach it. This is part one. Part two will be getting put up around the same time, so feel free to get the comments rolling. It's lots of good information in here for anyone that hasn't done it, and those that have, feel free to add. I think Steve's pretty much hit it in a nutshell and put a lot of info in that I was chasing anyway. All right, enjoy guys. Like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. Welcome back, viewers of Dusty Trail Adventures. We are on our way to a meeting with a pretty well-known YouTuber, Mongrel Dog Productions. They got a little adventure trip that I've kind of got planned a little bit later, cutting through the guts of Australia. So Steve has kindly arranged for me to meet him in the city. Hasn't that been an experience, riding in traffic? Something I haven't done in a long time. Give me an eroded hill any day. Yes, quite scary. But anyway, ride defensively, that's what it's all about. So it's a beautiful day in Perth. I think we're going to get in the high 20s today. I'm even looking at crossing over to the dark side potentially, and maybe looking at a BMW, a GS 1300. I don't know if I'm going to go GSA or GS, but I'm sure that discussion will happen with Mongrel Dog today. Alright, so I think I've got a meeting down here somewhere. Catalanos, that'll be me. And we'll have to do a little U-turn. Tell you what, it's people have got mirrors on their cars around here, but they definitely don't use them. People just like do U-turns whenever they want. You just, it's just hilarious. How you going, Steve? Pleased to meet you, mate. No, they're not too bad for them. They're more for riding, so I think they should pick us up there somewhere. See how we go.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. Right, where are we now? We're out here somewhere.
You're off the map of Perth.
So, looking at heading over to Queensland.
Yep.
So basically I want to go as much through the guts as I can, but stay out of the desert. So next year I'm going to do a desert run, and I'll probably do it on a 500 or my 890. So I'll either be doing it on a 1290 or a potential BMW that I'm going to test ride today. So.
Okay. You heard of the Outback Way?
No.
Australia's longest shortcut.
The longest shortcut?
Australia's longest shortcut. It's called the Outback Way. That'll get you from Laverton through to Winton in Queensland.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm from Queensland originally, so I've travelled all through the guts of Queensland. So.
Okay. Do a Google search, not necessarily now, but I can send you the links. It's called the Outback Way, Australia's longest shortcut, and it goes Great Central Road.
Yep.
Past Uluru to Alice Springs, and from Alice it takes now I always get these two highways confused. One's in Queensland, the other one's in the Northern Territory. It's the Donahue and the Plenty highways. Like I say, I don't know which one's in Northern Territory and which one's in Queensland, but they're the two highways in question. And from when you get on the Donahue or the Plenty, you can keep heading east. You'll come out at Boulia in Queensland, and from Boulia, it's all primarily single lane sealed to Winton. So it's called the Australia's longest shortcut. I can send you the link.
Yeah, sounds good.
Along there, along its entirety, there are information boards on points of interest and stuff like that. And getting from Uluru to Alice, there's options on the dirt, all that I've done on the 1200, so it's all doable depending on your skill set. And I'm not having a go at you, but I don't know your skill set.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the bottom line is I've had the 1200 in those places, so.
I don't really have a problem with, I've taken that in some sand whoops and done, but I
No,
don't. I'm
mate.
staying out of the sand whoops. It's not. That's not
all.
my.
I'm getting too old for that shit, and I wouldn't send anybody
You and me both.
up the garden path or suggest a road that I haven't done myself on the 1200.
I'm happy for dirt roads, bit of sand on them, corrugations, just the normal outback kind of roads, not a problem. But trying to stay out of that desert country on a bigger bike. So.
Okay, all right. Well, having said that, like I say, I can send you the link to the Outback Way from Laverton through to Winton. Did you want to know anything in particular about?
Probably just a little bit more secrets with some of the setups and things you got. So I've got some questions around like tubeless wheels, because I can run tubes on that as well. My biggest concern with tubeless is getting the bead back on, especially on a really heavy carcass rear tyre. If I bust the bead, I mean, as I've been around, so I do. It's difficult. You can't do it with a pocket compressor. You can't. The old deodorant myth works in a very controlled environment, but that's why I'm saying you've always run. Your bike is predominantly BMW, yeah?
Well, I leaned to the 1200, yes.
Yeah. So that's a tube. You run tubeless wheels and tubeless tyres, obviously, on them.
Yep.
What do you do when you can't get the bead back on? Apart from the ratchet strap, I mean, I've seen one video where you tried that. And
and tried compressors off four-wheel drives because they got, for a start, take the valve core out, all right, because that allows more air to get in. But even using a four-wheel drive compressor, sometimes isn't sufficient. There's been one case where a bloke I was with had to take it to the local cocky who was 10 kilometres down the road, and we used his compressor.
Air compressor to
That
get
worked.
the volume in, yeah.
As a last ditch effort, which will always work, what size are your rims? 1721,
1821.
1821.
Front, not a problem. Front's easy.
Okay.
Been
all right.
21 inch front, but it's the rears.
Okay.
Yeah.
What will always work is you get a bicycle tube.
I got an almond latte.
Ah, yes, thank you.
Okay. Ooh, should I? Is it
Uh,
okay?
yep.
What are you guys doing?
Sorry?
That looks very geographical.
We're planning a trip to Mars.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
We're looking for backers to finance it. Are you prepared to
Yes. Would this coffee shop like to be a sponsor of us?
You never know. He likes doing that stuff.
Does he?
Yeah.
He's just got to post some food out to me. I'll be out over here somewhere in about a month's time.
I'm very bad at geography. I don't even know which map this is.
Well, this is Australia
Okay.
Part of it.
in the outback.
Oh.
See this Kalgoorlie?
You're down here somewhere in Perth.
Okay. I'm here.
They're down there, yeah.
And that's one of our big deserts,
Uh-huh.
the Great Victoria Desert.
What do you do? Like just travel?
Yeah,
do,
looking
like-
at riding across the country, and Steve here's done a lot of it, so he's given me a bit of information and tips and tricks on how to be successful at it.
Oh.
Doing it on your own, doing it solo.
Okay.
So.
Oh.
All right.
Right, so
What you do is you get a bicycle tube,
yep,
preferably, let's call it a 17-inch or an 18-inch bicycle tube, all right?
yep,
Now try and use your imagination here. You've got the tyre on the rim, all right? You push your bicycle tube around onto, how can I explain?
I'm following you. I'm following you.
Yeah, yep. Just put the bicycle tube on the rim. So it creates a gap between the tyre and the rim, yeah? Stick a bit of air in that tube and that will bridge the gap.
That's a bead filler.
Yeah, that will bridge the gap between the tyre and the rim, okay? And it should create a relatively good airtight seal. As you start inflating the bike, your motorcycle tyre, all right? But what you've got to do is time it so that you can let air out of the push bike tube at the same time. I'm a firm believer in practicing your systems at home.
Do it at home, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I
because
know
all
it's
you do is you're creating an air wall between the tyre and the
Yes,
bead, and
yes.
then you're releasing that pressure as that volume starts to come across.
And it'll get to the point where your motorcycle tyre will contact the bead, and then you just deflate the bicycle tube and pull it in.
Yep,
All right?
that's a good tip.
The other option, if you don't have a bicycle tube, is a length of rope or cord or something, anything
To fill it.
to fill that gap. Yeah.
Well, you'd need a bit of 7 or 8 mil rope for that. Yeah, exactly.
So the tube, in desperation, and I always carry now. I run 17/19. I carry a 16-inch bicycle tube because 16-inch, you won't be able to find a 17 or an 18-inch bicycle tube. You will find a 20, so maybe that's an option.
20, but a 16 will stretch. 16 will stretch on an 18 potentially.
Don't know.
Try it at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly right. Buy a 16 or a 20-inch tube. And try it at home. You don't have to. Just break the bead and.
Well, I'm doing a tyre change on that if I go on that bike before I go anyway. So I'll fully do it with my little pocket air compressor that simulate the whole scenario. I could even simulate the swearing. There's going to be a lot of that.
That should be almost foolproof.
Yeah, righto. It's either that or I do run tubes, and the benefit of tubes is, we're only gravel riding at the end of the day. So I'm still going to run highway pressures.
Well, why would you be, if you get a puncture, you're going to plug it on tubeless.
Yep.
Why? It's very rare that the bead would pop.
Well, unless you ride it off the bead.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And that's...
Normally you get a little bit of notice.
You do get some notice, 100%.
Anyway, that you should find, because the deodorant, the spray, the petrol, the strap, so many options, but
in a controlled environment, try your systems. Because I did see a video with your old mate of yours on his Honda Africa Twin come through that creek, and you basically said, "Jesus, what are you doing? You come through too quick," and then he got a front puncher out of it.
Yeah, coming in a bit hard, yep.
But I did that. So that bike there, I got it in Canberra last year in August, and basically, my mate rode his Aprilia all the way over to Canberra. We rode back together and we went into the Flinders Ranges on the way home. So I went and did that Skyline Trail because we slept out there for the night, got up there early in the morning. So I was out running that Skyline Trail out in the back country, and I started to get a bit excited, having a bit of fun. Started laying it over and getting into it, and you come up to the top of this climb. So I'm not sure if you've done it before, the Skyline Trail in Flinders.
No.
Anyway, we get to the top and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I think I've got a flat. So I get up the top and got slice that along on my sidewall. 7 plugs. Got it, got back to the homestead, had to cut the ride. It was near the end of the ride, so I think it was 15, 20 k's to go. Got to the homestead, and luckily enough they had an old TKC 80 there. Put a tube in it, got me all the way back to Perth. So went to Augusta to try and get a tyre. Not a hope in hell.
The only motorcycle place in Augusta now is closed down.
Well, we met the guy that owns it. He still has a shop there. So I got his number in my phone because we ended up, Ben, who I travel with, ended up dropping his bike in an intersection, snapped the gear lever off his Aprilia, and then we're at this service station, Roadhouse, for hours asking people, is there a bike shop? The bike shop on Google, and then we found some bloke. He goes, "Oh, come and see me in the morning." And so we ended up, his old bike shop now has pretty much ended up in a big shed in the back of his business, and he services all the station bikes.
Oh, okay.
So, but he has like a very small part of the bike shop now. Anyway, he basically just said, "There's a stand, boys, get in there and help yourselves," and we had to bastardise this thing to get back to Perth.
Yep.
But yeah, you have to have a lateral thinking brain to do these trips. It's you got to be switched on.
Anyway, yeah, that's like I say, the bicycle tube should be pretty much fail safe.
I guess my other question is, I'm pretty comfortable carrying fuel bladders and stuff. Like, that's only a 20 or 23 litre tank, so I'm happy to carry 3 or 4 fuel bladders. Like I carry 8 litre bladders, but I'm pretty sure the roadhouses you pretty much got fuel most of the way, haven't you?
What's your range just on a tank?
5 per 100, so working on 400.
Okay. You'll be able to get fuel, and remind me later to tell you about the back roads getting to Laverton. You'll be able to, all these roadhouses on Great Central Road, I think the longest gap is 350. And that is from Chukarelia to Warburton, I think.
Yeah, and that's probably the worst bit of road at the moment too, isn't it? Generally from Laverton to the...
It was washed away last year on a couple of occasions. The last time I did it was last year, once again on the 1200. Sometimes, look, blokes can still get unstuck, even on a good, well-formed, high-speed gravel road. It depends on their skill set. Blokes, they get a bit of a tank slapper and they panic and they back off, and then it's all over Red Rover. You know what I mean?
Death grip on the handlebars. 3 off
So
every time.
once again, depending on your skill set, Great Central Road, it was heavily, I mean, one of the videos last year, they had some rain, it was, 4 inches of mud, a couple of trucks got bogged or abandoned. I got through it with the help of, a couple of the guys sort of giving me a bit of support. They were on a lot of bikes. And in fact, it was the same trip as that bloke crumped in with his Africa Twin. So, you can do Google searches on the road conditions, whether they're open or closed. I personally haven't crashed on Great Central Road, but I know people who have.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it doesn't matter how good a rider you are, if you take your mind off the job for a few minutes, things happen. So, yeah, you are remote, so getting busted up out there is not a smart thing.
The Northern Territory side used to be the worst for many, many years. They've spent a lot of time and effort and money now on the Northern Territory side, and a lot. You've never done Great Central Road? Okay, not a lot, but more and more of the Northern Territory side now is sealed. The Aboriginal community, Docker River, it's almost as if they, past Uluru, it's almost as if they didn't care who was going west, because all there was tourists and Docker River. But yeah, the Northern Territory side now is pretty good generally, and they are sealing more and more of it. There are patches of sealed sections going across Great Central Road. I think what they've done is they've focused on those areas that used to cross Dune country, and they would spend a lot of time and money maintaining it, and they thought, bugger this, let's cut our losses. And they've sealed sections bit by bit. Not a lot. I think the longest section is probably 30 k's. And by the time you hit it, you're actually glad to reach it because you've had enough of the gravel. And then by the time you get bored on a blacktop, you hit the gravel again. You know what I mean?
I understand. The permit, we've got to get a permit to ride Great Central Road, don't I? 2
permits, one for WA, one for NT. Easy to obtain.
Yep.
On one of them, once you hit submit, the permit will bounce back to you.
Yep.
The Northern Territory side, I think, takes a few days.
Is that more for like police notification so they know that you're travelling on the road, or what is it, Aboriginal country that we're going through?
Yeah, it's all. I always get the permits because they're easy to obtain and they're free. I've never been asked to produce it. I've even had interactions with police on Great Central Road, and I've asked them, do you want to see my permit? And they go,
no.
Okay. I don't give a shit.
And then, do you have to ring the roadhouses before on your way through to let them know you're coming through?
No.
No?
The only thing I would suggest is ringing them, because some of them have odd hours. Like Chukarelia might close at noon on a Sunday.
Yeah. I plan on coming through this bulk part of the country in a weekday. So Monday to Friday. And I just obviously got to allow that 90-minute time changeover for fuel, otherwise I could be stuck till 9:30 the next day. So.
Well, that's the thing. Warrakurna, is that Warrakurna? I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yep, sure is.
Okay, Warrakurna. Last time I went through there, they were operating on WA time. The time before that, they were operating on NT time. So if you're doing your sums and you think, I should get to Warrakurna at 3 p.m, well, it could be 4:30 p.m. and they might have closed.
Oh, yeah.
You know
exactly.
what I mean? So, it's a good idea to ring the roadhouses. Not essential, not required. But if you're not sure on the times...
so what do you got, about 250 k's from this roadhouse to Warrakurna, don't you?
What's that, Chukarelia?
Yeah.
Chukarelia to Warburton, what are those?
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's about 250.
Yeah, it's 300, I think.
From Laverton to
Chukarelia, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest sort of leg, like you said.
Cosmo Newbury, Cosmo Newbury is off the road. You've got to physically go off the road to get to it. There's nothing really there that I wouldn't bother refueling there unless you really, really had to. The general store, closes at 11 and opens at 1. Yeah. That sort of thing. So
worst case scenario, I'll carry a full bladder from here anyway. Just if I stop for a stop, 160 k's in, I just dump it in and the fuel's gone. So
yeah, but Chukarelia, if that's Chukarelia, Chukarelia, Warburton, I think it's 250 or whatever.
Same from there to there by the looks of the measurements, the scale.
Warrakurna. Yep. And then Warrakurna to Uluru should be doable as well.
Yep.
So, providing you refuel at every opportunity, fuel shouldn't be an issue. When I say every opportunity, bar Cosmo Newbury and bar Docker River.
Where do you start pulling opal from? Pretty much out here, do you?
Took Aurelia.
Oh, so you pull
Yep.
an opal down here. Okay.
You can get octane booster, just add a few drops in your fuel. Opal, my 1200 runs on opal. All right. When I first got the bike, I said, look, I'm going bush. They can detune the remap it, detune it. So I'd probably run on Kero if I had to. With opal, you burn a little bit more fuel, maybe 10%. All right, so be mindful of that.
My forecast is, I've done the big trip from Canberra back to here, and I think I still averaged around 5 to 5.2. But I don't know, I've got a lot of redundancy built into me through things I've done in my life. So I go on that bike over there. I go, that's 6 litres, 100. Like you know what? No one died from carrying too much fuel.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it's like you say, that fuel anxiety. It's not something you need on you ticking away in your brain while you're cruising across. So.
No. I think at Laverton, it's 24/7 at Laverton with a card.
Yep.
If the place is closed. All the others, all their bowsers are locked up. Well, Warburton not so much, but normally you've got to be served by a white fella. Laverton, I think the options, I don't think they've got normal 91. I think it's either Super Duper Premium or unleaded. But anyway, look, like I say, you can take a little container of octane booster, but your bike should run fine on opal, other than increased fuel consumption. And if you give it a fistful, you might hear a bit of pinging, but that probably means you're in the wrong gear, you know what I mean?
No need to give it a fistful. Like it's not the type of trip where I do that.
But if you're in the wrong gear and, other than that...
That's the other reason I'm looking at a BMW. I'm really interested in moving forward because I do different types of riding. So I've got a KTM 890R as well. So I really go out and give that a bit of stick and have some fun. And I've done a few good trips on that. But this type of trip, that giving it stick, having fun doesn't even come into it. It's a totally different ride. So hence the reason I wanted to meet you today, because it's a different approach to motorcycle riding. Do you know what I mean? In the middle of the country. So going out for a 4-hour rip tear bust around Denmark or the beach or whatever, it's a different setup. So
getting to Laverton, how were you getting to Laverton?
Well, there was a couple of ways I was thinking, because I'm coming from sort of south. I can either ping out to Kalgoorlie, but I don't really want to do all this blacktop. But I did notice that you can go through 2J into Paynes Fine. That's another back way to get up there, is that right?
What they call Maroubra Road.
Yep.
Maroubra Road, that'll get you to Paynes Fine, but how are you going to get there from Paynes Fine?